Hey, what's up? It's been 2 months, I think, since my last riding vlog, and it's been a bit long. I didn't really mean to leave it this long, but I've got a good reason. So, I've had a lot happen, and I think most of you may already know most of this story because I've been putting a lot of Instagram stories up. So it might not be for you if you're not interested, no worries. This is kind of probably for me a bit, because I've had some real bad luck in the last couple of months and kind of feel like in many ways I'm at rock bottom, and I wanted to sort of just capture where I am and what's been going on, because I want to show myself coming back from this, and I think the best way to do that is to show where I started. So starting from September, there's a bit of context. I've just had a good solid summer plus of really working myself to the bone. Was really burned out, hadn't had a holiday in probably a little over 2 years, and I needed one. So I'd finally booked a couple of weeks off to go up to the Peak District, stay close to my brother and his family, take my bike, take my guitar, and just fucking chill. Get some really nice long rides in, film some of it, take my drone. It was going to be awesome. So I'm going to start with some stuff that I filmed then, and then take it up to where I am now, so that I can get some context for the journey forward. So this is that. Cheers.
Sitting on the floor in the doorway here because I went up to Manchester via Birmingham, and I haven't been on a train in ages. I've forgotten that these particular trains have, bloody hell, apart from being rammed, they have these things. I just don't really feel very comfortable leaving there. That's it really. Let's sit on the train for 50 hours on the floor.
This is a tricky one to record. I don't really know how to say this, but I'm feeling completely defeated at the moment. I just want to cry. So on my way up here, I had a seizure on the train, sort of halfway here, just before getting off at Birmingham to change. The last thing I remember was the train sort of slowing down, and everybody was sort of all crowded around the doors and stuff, and my bike was still tucked in like the vertical storage bit by the door, and so that was the last thing I remember. The train hadn't stopped yet, and the next thing I remember, I'm walking along Birmingham station with a member of staff, and him talking to me, and he said, you gave your card, my little epilepsy card that I keep in my pocket just to tell people that I'm epileptic and what to do and stuff. And apparently I gave it to somebody. It wouldn't have been a full-blown tonic-clonic seizure, because otherwise there would have been paramedics and stuff and I wouldn't have been walking. So it would have been like a focal impaired awareness, like full-on memory loss. I didn't even remember it starting. Don't remember it starting at all. Yeah, so they sat me down in the little kind of area. They brought me a coffee, and they said somebody'd be back to help me, like to make sure I got on my next train, which I did. You know, my back was starting to get sore, like it was starting to really niggle at me, not like just an ache, but like little warning pings of pain. But it started to get really bad on the second train, but also I knew I'd probably struggle sitting down. So I was like, it's probably better if I stay stood up and just keep moving gently, like lifting my legs and stuff, which I did for the entirety of that journey, but it just got more and more sore, like really started to go, and I knew it. So yeah, then I got to Manchester, and there was somebody at the other end waiting, like a member of staff waiting to help me get off and stuff. My brother was there. And my back started to really fucking go. Like, I couldn't lift my bags, I couldn't get my bike in the car. Josh had to do everything. We got to this little Airbnb, and it's a really lovely little place. It's hideously decorated, but you know, that's just because I'm a style snob. But it's a really lovely little place in a lovely area, just outside, not far outside Stockport, but right next to the hills. I've got my bike, I've got all my stuff, and I can't walk. I can literally barely walk. I slept terribly. Every time I moved in my sleep, it woke me up. And I managed to get up and make coffee, and it was just agony. Like, I'm perched on this table at the moment because I can't sit down, so I can't do anything. I'm just this is my holiday. I can't fucking do anything. I'm really, really gutted. Really gutted. And Josh has offered to drive me home from Manchester to Bristol. It's a fucking long way, and I don't want him to, but at the same time I can't stay here. It's really, really hard to mentally deal with it right now. I'm gutted I had a seizure on the train. That makes me feel so vulnerable. 7 minutes, I have to re-record this. Christ, so much has happened. I've just had a bit of a run of bad luck, to put it lightly. I was trying to recover from my bad lower back so I could get back on my bike, and that was working and then not working and working and not working, and just it was frustrating the crap out of me. I was feeling a bit down because I wasn't riding, and I had a chiropractor, but just being impatient. And then I was being a twat, and for about 2 solid weeks I was restricting quite heavily my eating, which I talked about quite a lot in the vlog before this, so for context, watch that one first, so I'm not going to go into it here. And that may or may not have been a causal factor of having quite a cluster of seizures. Probably not, to be honest, because I get seizures no matter what the weather, and my neurologist says that generally it's not going to make a difference to whether or not you have seizures. So he probably shouldn't have told me that in hindsight. But at the end of like a long week of working at about 4:30 in the afternoon, I was still at my desk, and all I know is I had a seizure, like a full-blown tonic-clonic blackout seizure. I only remember getting the clobazam tablets out of my pocket, which are these tiny little sort of like emergency tablets that I keep in my pocket always, as I can. I only take these if I'm having a seizure that feels like it's bad, and I avoid them generally if the seizure just feels like a normal one, because they make me doped up. They take a little while to work, and they make me feel doped up for the rest of the day, so it's hard to work. So I know the seizure must have felt bad at that time, because I wouldn't have got it out otherwise, but I don't remember taking it. What I remember is waking up on the floor by my bed, behind my desk, and in a hell of a lot of pain, like so much pain, concussed, bitten my tongue, and just an absolute radiation of pain coming from my right ankle, which was it was bad. Anyway, basically my friend Rosie managed to get into my flat using my spare keys that were hidden somewhere, and called an ambulance. And yeah, it was a long old day, long old night. Eventually found that my ankle was broken, dislocated and broken in 3 places. The fibula was broken once, and the tibia was broken in 2 places. It was a tricky one. They didn't manage to reduce the fracture the first time. I kind of woke up. They'd sedated me and said, "Oh, you won't feel it," and I didn't, because they actually just knocked me out. And they put it in a cast, and they said, "Oh, it's only about 90% there." And they said they were going to need to do it again. But by this point, it was like fucking midnight. I hadn't eaten anything, still. and I hadn't eaten anything all day, and I'd had this horrific injury. So somebody went and found the only vegan thing that was in the hospital at this point of the night, which was like this really sad sandwich. It was just this carrot and hummus sandwich, and I was so hungry. It was horrible. I mean, the sandwich wasn't horrible, it was just like so sad. That's all I got. And then they wheeled me off to a ward, and they woke me up at 4 a.m. So I only had like 4 hours sleep, if that. And said breakfast. I'm like, it's 4 a.m. Fuck off. They're like, yeah, but you're going on nil by mouth at 6 a.m. And all I could eat was like 2 slices of toast. So then I went on nil by mouth until like the late afternoon. So this is a long period of time with very little food. So they put me on nil by mouth, and later that, late afternoon, they basically wheeled me into an operating theatre to put me under a general anaesthetic and reduce my fracture, like manually manipulate it, not cut into it, just manipulate it into the right position. And then they kept me there for the weekend. They tried to keep me there longer because they said my blood salts were low, and I was underweight. But I told them they should probably check my blood again because my blood salts were most likely low because I had barely been given any food in a period of a lot of time. And so he said, okay, I'll check your blood again, and if it's gone back up, I'll let you go home. And lo and behold, it had gone back up, so they let me go home. I came out to my folks for a week. My foot, once being reduced properly, was much less painful. The massive ulcer in my mouth from biting my tongue very, very hard was by far the most painful thing for the next few days. Like really, really painful. And then that next weekend I went in for surgery. So this is last Saturday, a week ago today, I had surgery to put a plate and some pins into my ankle and hold it in place. So I came home and with a nerve blocker still working on my leg and feeling fucking great, to be honest, except for having a numb leg, which is a weird feeling, like you just sat on your foot and it won't wake up, but for like 6 hours. I wish it had stayed like that, because after 6 hours, it was about midnight, and I was in the worst pain in my life all night, did not sleep, and then all of the next day as well, because the painkillers they sent me home with were massively not strong enough. But I got some better painkillers eventually, and this week has just been taking painkillers every 4 to 6 hours, depending on what I need. So it's been gradually improving. It'll be really good for a bit, and then it'll be shit again, and it's just sort of doing this, but gradually getting better. And so that's like a technicality of what's happened. And obviously at the same time, it's been a massive mental blow, because this is a serious injury. This is quite a serious injury that's going to take a long time to come back from, just to get to a point of, walking and rehab and stuff, let alone getting on my bike. So it's going to be a long time before I'm riding again, certainly outside anyway. At the moment, just trying to keep my goals little. Yesterday my goal was go outside and walk around on crutches for the first time, not counting being in a hospital, trying to get from place to place. So obviously getting around the house I'm fine now, but it's not the same as actually kind of like doing exercise. Desperate to go home, but also not, because I'm being looked after so beautifully by my parents here, who love having me here and they love being able to do everything they can. I've got used to the idea of just letting go and being useless, and having everything brought to me all the time. I can't carry anything, obviously. Cups of tea and stuff, food, everything's being brought to me, and I need it. It's weird. But I'm hoping to go home next week. That's what I said this week, but next week. Got a check-up on Friday, so in a week's time. Yeah, that's it really. I should take a look at my leg. I've been meaning to do this for a while. I'm gonna take the bandage off. I want to see what colour my leg is. Ready? I have to take this boot off fairly often, because
sometimes it just really hurts to have it on.
I've already partially unwrapped this upstairs before I got changed, and I realised I needed to get changed first. Oh, that's quite sore. Christ almighty. Look at that. Jesus. Goodness. Wow. Look at this tubby little foot. Quite puffy. No wonder that's been so sore right there. I didn't realise that one was that low down. That makes sense why the boot's really been bothering me so much. Sorry, this is a bit of a nasty looking vlog, isn't it? But to be honest, it's kind of for me. Because this is quite, it isn't probably the most major injury I've ever had. And I really want to have something that I can look back and see where I've come from, where it started, and what state it's in right now, so I can measure it against it and just be like, Jesus, you know, if I have a bad day in like a month or 2 months, but it won't be as bad as today is, comparatively, and it'd be nice to be able to look back and be like, Jesus, look at the state of me now. Like, look how much better I am now. So, yeah, that's my injury. That is my tonic-clonic seizure injury from, when was it? End of October. Yeah, end of October. Shit, innit? Right, I'm gonna go for a little walk. When I say walk, I use the word very loosely. I'm gonna go for a little crutch around the garden.